Okay. Happy to have you back again. So module three really puts together a lot of the concepts that we discussed in module two in application, meaning we discussed biological clocks in the body. And so now based off those clocks, when should we eat? And so that's where we get on, where we're getting into today. So let's talk about some basic eating patterns. The eating patterns have changed. I always joke that I think it'd be funny to know Adam and Eve. When did they eat, right? But we don't have that information, obviously. But we do have some. We know that in the Middle Ages, eating breakfast in Europe was seen as a sin, right? Today we think breakfast it's a must, but no, they used to think that. And actually, physicians warned against eating breakfast as it was thought to be detrimental to health. And then it changed in the 16th century. Breakfast became recognized as an essential meal, such that where today we have sayings like this: eat breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, and dinner like a pauper. This is generally what most people will say is what we should do. Well, do we in America, do we mimic this? You can probably guess that we really don't. When do you usually consume the largest number of calories? I mean, think about your day. Are you consuming the most number of calories at breakfast, lunch, dinner, post dinner? Well, the average American does not consume the most at breakfast. Breakfast typically accounts for about 17%. Dinner is usually the largest meal of the day, which makes sense. We get home, we're with our family, right? It's social hour. There's a lot of reasons for this. One, most people report that they're least hungry at breakfast time. And there's other reasons. We're busy. Life is fast paced and that kind of thing. Where maybe don't have time to make a breakfast. We'll look at breakfast in a second, but let's focus on the fact that dinner is the largest meal of the day. This is really the issue. And this is what I kind of want to drive this home. The fact that we skip breakfast, and I know what I'm saying is counterintuitive to what a lot of people have said, and I'll show you the data, isn't that all that important from a weight loss standpoint? The fact that our dinner is the largest meal of the day, that's where the issue is. This was first recognized, when I say this, meaning eating a lot late at night, causing weight, was first recognized by, again, Albert Stunkard. I discussed him in module one. He coined this term, the night eating syndrome, when talking about late night snacking. So what is night eating syndrome? It's characterized by a feeling of morning fullness, extreme evening hunger, insomnia, and nighttime snacks. Maybe this is you, right? But this is a big deal. In 2001, some research was done looking at obese subjects that had the night eating syndrome. They compared that to obese subjects who did not. They put the subjects on the same amount of calories, and what they found is that those that ate those calories later at night, they didn't lose weight. And this has been replicated over and over and over again. The average American snacks all night long. And so but the issue with snacking at night doesn't have to be relegated to those that have this psychological condition. The average snacker, the average college student. I mean, think about if you stay up late, right? It's the weekend or something. You're stay up late. What are you doing? I would venture that you're probably watching something, and that's probably associated with some sort of snacking, Captain Crunch, right? Or chips or whatever that is you're eating at night. Does when we eat affect what our body does with that food? It definitely does. Let's look at some of this data. So I'm going to show you a couple studies. In this study, the large sample size, thousands of people, and they put these subjects all, and this was in Spain, they put all of these individuals on a Mediterranean diet. Okay, so they ate the same thing. They did tell them to engage in exercise, and they gave them some things to help them do that. And they all did the same exercise. So they were told what to eat, and they were told to exercise, but they were not given any advice on when they should eat. Now, in these Mediterranean countries, the main meal of the day is usually lunchtime. And so then what they did is they said, okay, everybody ate the same amount of calories. Let's look at when they ate those calories. And we're going to split the group and say, let's look at weight loss success amongst those people that ate their main meal before 3 o'clock. So the majority of the calories before 3, versus those individuals who ate the majority of their calories after 3. Did that affect weight loss? And it did. So what they found here on this x-axis is the number of weeks of treatments. They had 21 weeks that they did this study. On the y is the amount of weight that these individuals weighed over the course of the time period. And you see the key. You have those that ate later in the day versus those that ate earlier. Those that ate later in the day lost significantly less than those that ate the majority of their calories earlier. It's about 5 pounds, which you might not think is a lot, but you got to realize, let me go to, this is the authors, the difference in weight loss was not explained by differences in caloric intake, meaning they ate the same calories and there was a 5-pound difference. What's going on here? Let me show you another study that is highlights this to even a greater degree. So these researchers took a group of obese women and they put all of these women on a 1,400 calorie weight loss diet. So of course they're going to lose weight. 1,400 calories isn't that much. But what they did, and they ate the same exact food. What they did though is they said, okay, group 1, I want you to have 700 calories for breakfast, 500 calories for lunch, 200 calories for dinner. Group 2, I want you to have 200 calories for breakfast, 500 calories for lunch, 700 calories for dinner. So they ate the same food. It's just they partitioned those calories different. One was a big breakfast, one was a big dinner, same food. And they did this for 12 weeks. What was the difference in weight loss? So both groups lost weight, not surprising, they weren't eating that much. But at the end of 12 weeks, the group here, which was the big breakfast group, lost about 11 to 13 pounds more weight than the group that ate the big dinner. They ate the same thing and they lost about 12 pounds more. That's amazing to me. If you look at waist circumference, which is what figure B is looking at, so even with, so the black bar, that's the big breakfast group, okay? The group that ate the bigger breakfast, they also lost more waist circumference over the 12 weeks. Additionally, what about feelings of full? Were they starving? They also measured that. So this is hunger scores, and the group that ate the big breakfast had decreased hunger scores. And then if we look at satiety, the group that ate the big breakfast had increased satieties. If you have a high satiety, you're full. I just cherry picked a couple studies to highlight this point, but the data is very consistent that eating the majority of your calories later in the day is not going to help with weight loss, but yet that's how we eat. One more that I want to highlight, because this is with bariatric. So post-bariatric surgery, module 1, I think I made the comment, 30 some odd percent are, they fail, they gain their weight back. But again, 60 some odd percent are very successful. These researchers wanted to know what predicts success. What predicts success after bariatric surgery? Maybe it's the timing that these people eat their food. And that's the point of this study. All that this is showing here is just that there's people who are good weight loss responders. These are the people that were successful. They lost 80% of excess weight. That's not 80% of all their weight. That's 80% of excess weight. These were like the middle of the road. And then these are the people who were very poor weight loss responders. Does the timing of food intake predict this? So let's look at this. So they said, okay, are the majority of calories consumed either after 3 o'clock or before 3 o'clock? That's what they wanted to know. And if they do that, does that predict weight loss success? So here is the group that was poor weight loss responders, meaning these are the people after bariatric surgery, they didn't really lose that much weight. If you notice, these are also the people that are eating the majority of their calories, 70% of their calories after 3 o'clock in the afternoon. These authors suggested that that's why they're not losing as much weight as the other individuals. COVID-19 has caused weight gain in a lot of people. Here's a paper that we published recently. And the question that we asked was, what is the strongest predictor of weight gain during COVID-19? The strongest predictor of weight gain was snacking at night. That's the strongest predictor. And there's, I don't know, why did people snack more at night during COVID? We had a lot of hypotheses. Maybe they're not going into work, so they don't have to get up as early, so they stay up later. There's a lot of reasons, maybe stress reduction. But the fact is, snacking at night caused weight gain. So this data is clear. You eat a lot later in the evening, you're going to store that as fat. You're more likely to store it as fat. Now, does that mean that we need to get up in the morning and have a massive breakfast? Because some people take this information and say, therefore, breakfast, most important meal of the day for weight loss. I'm arguing that that's not the case at all. Let's look at this though. So if you look at almost every correlational study done, it shows that there's a relationship between those that eat breakfast and BMI, meaning correlational research shows breakfast eaters have a smaller BMI, so they're not as heavy. But a relationship is all that is. Let me tell you another study. There is a study that shows that as ice cream consumption goes up, that your risk of, or there's a relationship with drowning. And that's a peer-reviewed study. So what are you going to do in response to that information? Are you never going to eat ice cream? Or are you going to step back and say, well, that's just a correlation. Why might ice cream consumption go up? Well, maybe ice cream consumption goes up in the summer. Hey, and what do we know? We know that people are going to swim more in the summer. Well, if people are swimming more, risk for drowning goes up. So really, there's not, the relationship between ice cream consumption and drowning is not causal in the least. It's just a spurious association that really means nothing. That's what we've done with breakfast. People that don't eat breakfast, they stuff their face that night. Well, then of course they're gaining weight. I just showed you all the literature that showed that if you eat a lot late at night, you're not going to lose weight. So is breakfast important then for weight loss? Now I do need to stop right now. I have 5 kids. I want them to eat breakfast. They focus more at school. They pay attention more. You should eat breakfast if for that reason. We're talking about weight loss right now. Okay. Weight loss is a different beast. And now let's look at that data. Now, if we get away from correlational studies, which is not good research, and we go to randomized control trials. Randomized control trials are the gold standard for research, okay? It's an actual experiment. I'm gonna show you a couple of these meta-analyses. A meta-analysis is a review of a lot of different studies. So this paper right here that I'm showing you is a review of randomized control trials. So this is really good research. What did they find? This study suggests that the addition of breakfast might not be a good strategy for weight loss, regardless of established breakfast habits. They found that people who added breakfast just ate more calories, about 260 more calories. That shouldn't be surprising, meaning let's say that you don't eat breakfast right now, and I'm like, oh, you have to eat breakfast to lose weight. You're like, okay, I'll eat breakfast. You have oatmeal and eggs. You just added 300 calories to your diet. How's that going to help you lose weight? That's what they found. Let me show you another meta-analysis. Now, again, this is another meta-analysis of randomized controlled trials, the best data that there is. This study wasn't looking at calories. They wanted to know if people skipped breakfast, are you going to gain weight? Because that's what some people will say. I don't want to get, I apologize for this type of slide. I nerd out with this kind of thing. But anyways, it's how I teach. The way to look at this is a list of authors. So each one of those names is a single study, and that's the author, and you'll see the year. What we're looking at is right here is what that study found in relation to body weight between those that skip breakfast and those that eat breakfast. And then you look at this little diamond and you see if it's on one side of the line or the other. So if we notice for body weight, it's in the middle, meaning it didn't matter if you ate breakfast, skipped breakfast, your body weight didn't differ. If we looked at BMI, it doesn't differ. Body fat, it doesn't differ. Fat mass, it doesn't differ. Lean mass, it doesn't differ. Waist circumference, it doesn't differ. Waist to hip ratio, it doesn't differ. Meaning there's not good data looking at randomized controlled trials that says if you skip breakfast, you're going to get fat. Now, if you eat a lot at night, you do. Two different things, and that's what I keep coming back to. One more to really bring home the point that I'm trying to make. Another review of randomized controlled trials. What did they find? I want to go here. Compared with breakfast consumption, breakfast skipping reduced body weight. So another study even found that if you skipped breakfast, you lost weight. So I'm not saying that everybody should skip breakfast. Okay, there's health reasons, especially in children. What I'm saying is for someone who wants to lose weight, this is a practice that can help you. And I'm going to continue to add more to why that's the case. But one of the reasons that people will say that you should not do this is that they believe that if you skip breakfast, you're just going to voraciously eat at the next meal. You're so hungry. Well, again, let's think this through. And does the data back this up? So here's a study that asked this question. So what they did is they gave a group of individuals, they split them in two groups. You have a breakfast eating group, a non-breakfast eating group. The group that ate breakfast, and they were allowed to eat as much food as they wanted at breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. So they could eat whatever they wanted. The only difference was one group was allowed to eat breakfast, the other group wasn't. So the group that ate breakfast ate about 600 calories for their breakfast. Then we go to lunch. So remember, now at lunch is the first eating occasion for the group that skipped breakfast. So the group that skipped breakfast still ate about 600 calories for lunch, and the group, excuse me, let me say that, I said that wrong. The group that ate breakfast ate about 600 calories for lunch. The group that skipped breakfast, they ate about 750 calories. Oh my goodness, they ate more. See, I told you, they ate more, they're going to gain weight. But now let's keep looking at this and think it through. There was no difference in caloric consumption in the snacks or at dinner. There's no difference. So what this means is the group that skipped breakfast, I'm sure, of course, they were hungry, so they ate a bigger lunch, but it was only bigger by 150 calories. Remember, they just saved 600 calories by not eating breakfast. So they're still better off. And so it's a numbers game is a lot of it. And so that's not a reason that you have to eat breakfast, that you're going to stuff your face every other meal of the day. The data doesn't back that up. So let me pause this part, and we're going to go to part 2, and we're going to come kind of talk about, well, what the heck? Because I know you might be thinking, oh my goodness, it's kind of like conflicting information. And it's not, and we'll discuss that. And so we'll stop this and we'll start part 2.